Good morning, good afternoon, good evening guys, gals and gentlebods, and welcome to Loton Park for a change. So this is Marshall's camping area, and that is at the back of the Triangle spectator area, which is where I'm walking down to now. So this is the Triangle spectators area. That corner in front of us is Triangle Corner. And over to our right is the bar area, which will be open afternoons and evenings during race days. So if we go a bit further down, over there is the regalia hut, where you can buy t-shirts and coats and hats and umbrellas and lots of Loton Park goodies. So this is a great viewing position, because you can see the cars as they come through Fletcher's and down towards Triangle, and then through Triangle and away up through Keepers. So this takes us down to the paddock, or paddocks I should say, because there's several areas. So on the right here we've got a small paddock, which is very often where, if the motorbikes are here, as they are this weekend, they'll be stationed in this paddock. The 500s are very often in this paddock. That paddock behind it, very often used for visiting championships, but not always. Sometimes the local championship guys get in there. This is the general grass paddock, which is usually where the road going cars get positioned. The paddock where we're looking at now, where that Clio is, Dunlop paddock, that's where usually the mod prod lads will be. This is the main paddock area. This is typically, along this wall, is where the single seaters and the Sports Libre cars will be stationed, waiting for their turn. And then this area here is the general assembly area. This is where we line up for our individual runs. Over here on the left, the Avon paddock is where some of the top level single seaters will be. So the likes of Wallace Mingus, Scott Moran, Alex Summers, Trevor Willis, those kind of, that level of drivers will be in that area very often. This is, from this line on, is the start line warming area, so you can spin your tyres to try and get some warmth into them. I don't think it really makes any difference temperature wise. It can clean crap off the tyres and enable you to get a bit better grip off the start line. And you must have your wheels stopped spinning by this line. And you come up to here, which is the start line. So there'll be a timing beam across this line. That's about the view that a single seater driver gets. That's about the view from a normal road car. And I'm normally trying to drift across to the right here. The general rule of thumb that I've been given is to enter wide and exit tight on the corners. So by about this point I'm quite hard on the brakes just to get the speed down a bit, just to get it round this corner. And that flip-flop is not a target, so we're looking to cut tight in this corner and then on the exit of the corner let the car drift out to the right. Basically we're straightening the corner out as much as we can. So this is loggerheads, the second corner as such, more of a curve, and that flip-flop on the left hand side is basically just before the apex of the corner. So you really don't want to be hitting that flip-flop. You don't really want to be hitting any of the flip-flops, because if you take one out of the ground it gives you a 1 second penalty. But you need to run over to the left here. This is pretty much the apex of the corner, even though it doesn't look it, it's a late apex. And then you can largely straight line down to this next corner, which is Fletcher's Dello. And then you want to be turning in from about here. Usually a quick dab on the brakes just to get the nose down and get it to turn in. And quite a lot of us do just clip the rumble strips, as you may notice from the black marks on the flip-flops. They do get hit quite frequently. In the A40 my best I think is 56 miles an hour, which I achieved by short shifting to fourth, because what I found was I was hitting the soft cut rev limiter in third, which is 53 mile an hour. So I was repeatedly 53 mile an hour through this speed trap. Now to put that in context, the top guns, Scott, Wallace, Alex, Trevor, Will Hall, Dave Uren, and all of the others that I can't think of the names of, they can be doing over 100 mile an hour at this point. So for me, this is the breaking point, 25 metres or thereabouts, and I need to be hard over on the left, brushing the edge of the track, and don't turn in until we hit this line, which is the changing surface where it's been resurfaced, and only then turn in. If you hit the rumble strip on the entrance to this corner, you're way too early and you will lose the exit. If you cut the start of that corner, you'll probably end up over there on the left by that cone. But if you come in wide and late, you can clip that rumble strip on the exit. So keeping to the left again, late entry to this corner, about here where we've got another change in surface, the tarmac repair, and then come over to the right. Just clip this rumble strip with the right hand wheels. You really don't want to be hitting this rumble strip full on, because they are quite vicious and they can upset the car, but just clipping the edge of it isn't a problem. And then we're into the left hander of keepers, so over to the left again, just clip the edges of the rumble strip. And now for many of us it's flat out on the gas, accelerating up what's laughingly referred to as Cedar Straight, because it's anything but. Obviously the bigger cars, Scott, Wallace, Alex and the rest of them, where they're running 600-700 horsepower in 400 kilo cars, they might be a little more delicate with the throttle than I can be. Last year I had 40 horsepower to play with. So this is the kink. Ideally you want to be over on the right hand side through here. Some of the single seaters will be more to the middle, even slightly to the left, to try a straight line from here to the top. Now what we have is a very slight crown in the centre of the track here, which for the majority of cars isn't a problem, but some of the single seaters have come come off because of it. If they're one side or the other, one of the rear wheels will be on this slightly higher ridge, and there's bumps, and it can unsettle the cars because they're very stiffly sprung. And we've had a couple shoot off to the right up there into the trees, which is quite scary when they're doing over 100 miles an hour. So the single seaters tend to be in the middle of the track at this point, so that they're straddling that hump. And we're approaching the fastest part of the track. For road cars like mine, it's the second of the two fastest parts of the track. Last year I was hitting 53 miles an hour up here. The speed trap will be about another 20 metres from where we are now. So this is the location of the speed trap. This is the second speed trap, the main one. As I say, my A40, I clicked 53 mile an hour, flat out, in third gear. And as you can see, we're 115 metres from the next corner. The Top Guns can be doing 140 mile an hour up through here. And over on the left is Marshall's Post 6, which is a spectacular viewing point when the big boys are in town. It is absolutely terrifying to see 400 kilos of car come hurtling past you at 140 mile an hour with just over 100 metres to the next corner, and you think they're never going to stop for that corner, they're never going to lose that speed, but they always do, and they always get round it. Now it probably doesn't look very much, it certainly doesn't appear very bad when you're walking it, but when you're driving at full chat, there is a crest to this incline, which is about here, and then you've got the 50 metre board. Now typically in the MX-5 I would be hard on the gas to here and then hitting the brakes here. A couple of occasions I lifted and braked early, and the trouble is you come over that crest and the back end of the car can go light. If you get on the brakes early while the back end's still light, you can partially lock up the rears and get yourself into a slightly entertaining sideways moment, shall we say. So here's the 25 metre board, and ideally you want to be over here on the right hand side of the track as late as you can, all the way up to this little white dot. That is the proper turn-in point, and then you want to scoot over to the left, just clip this rumble strip. There are a few drivers that will put that down the middle of the bonnet and have two wheels on the grass. I've seen some of the sidecar outfits doing that corner with the wheel of the sidecar 2 inches above the ground all over the grass on the inside of that rumble strip, which must be quite entertaining for the passengers. So again, let the car run out to the right hand side, and this is the last climb. It doesn't look very much on foot, but it's actually quite steep. Again, some of the more powerful cars can gain quite a bit of speed up here. As you can see, it sort of disappears. The track disappears on you. So you want to be coming over to the left by now. This grey stripe down the middle is where somebody's had an oil leak before now, and it's been treated. I think it was a Honda ST1000 last year, blew the engine seriously. And as you can see now, it's a blind entry to this, which is the last corner. This is Museum. So a quick jab on the brakes as you come over that crest, because it is quite sharp, and if you don't dab the brakes you can understeer straight into the tyre wall, and there's quite a few do that. So again, just aiming to clip the edge of this rumble strip. From about here onwards you really don't want to be hitting it any sooner than this. And then pretty much from here it's a flat out sprint to the finish line. So once you've got the car straightened up, my car, it doesn't make any difference, it hasn't got enough power to break traction. I can nail the gas halfway through that corner. 700 horsepower in 400 kilos, you need to be a little more circumcised with it. So by here we're all flat on the gas now, going up the gears. If you've got any left to play with. And this is the finish line, 1,475 yards after the start line. So again, there will be a light beam here, and when you cross it, it stops the clock. One thing Loton Park does give us is some spectacular views. And it's a live deer park, so there are, I believe it's red, is it red or fallow, and black deer in the park. And this is where the cars depart the top paddock to go back down the hill. So that's the run. That's the hill climb of Loton Park, and even from here it's a pretty spectacular view. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting, and if you did, hit the like and subscribe, notifications, all the usual YouTube nonsense, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.